All right, we are back. Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I am Shane.
I am an honorary Brown for this evening.
All right, so tonight we're gonna do a combo show. It's gonna be AJ Brown and his effect on his new team, Shane's Birds, and all the fantasy relevant pieces there, and then the same thing with Hollywood Brown now in Arizona. So we're gonna start with AJ Brown, but we're gonna start with a trade as always. Shane, would you take AJ Brown or Rashad Bateman in the 110?
AJ Brown.
Ooh,
that's not even close. Stop.
We've been in a lot of rookie drafts now. We know those. We know the names.
AJ Brown. I'll go AJ Brown.
Okay, so Shane, let's get started. You're Philadelphia Eagles. You got AJ Brown. Were you pumped?
Oh, just beyond pumped. Just beyond
pumped.
Stoked. Yeah, he's been in low volume pass offenses, right? Like people think because he's dominated the target share there, like 27%, 25%, 19% as a rookie, that he must just be seeing buku targets, right? Scott must just be seeing a lot since his target share is so high. It's like 9th in the league. Not so much. The most targets he's ever seen, let's see, that was 2020. He had 106 in 14 games. Dude doesn't get a lot of targets. The Eagles, contrary to popular opinion and the facts after week 4 last year, actually wanted to throw the ball last year. They decided that was a bad idea, partly because the only receiving option they had was Devonta Smith, and their second wide receiver, who is a very nice role player in Quez Watkins, was their second wide receiver because Jalen Reagor is awful, very awful at football. So they discovered that quickly, the new coaching staff, and realized, okay, we have one dude we can throw to and a tight end, and then we're just going to run the ball down people's throats. But that's not what they want to do. Like I said, they were throwing the ball at the highest clip in the league the first 4 weeks last year. They just switched it up because, contrary to what I might have said last year about Nick Sirianni, he's actually a pretty smart guy and he plays to his team's strengths.
Scott, what do you think, Scott? What was your immediate organic reaction?
So to this trade and the other trade we're going to talk about, I honestly looked at it as fairly neutral for both situations. I don't think the situation was markedly better or worse for either player. I think the big thing with AJ Brown is he immediately got the contract extension. So does that mean that they maybe change the offense a little bit to cater towards, hey, we just paid this guy $25 million a year. And so we're kind of committing to maybe changing the offense a little bit. I think the Eagles, I'm not an Eagles fan. I know Shane is, but I tend to think they're at least one of the teams that is constantly trying to adapt and kind of get ahead of what the rest of the league is doing, or at least catch up to what the rest of the league is doing. If they're doing something that's not working, that they're going to maybe realize we have to try something different, or we have to go in, this direction. And I do wonder if, given how weak the NFC could be, given how weak the NFC East could be, if maybe they try to turn themselves into, they have a great offensive line. Do they turn themselves into an offense that literally is just going to try to win by, having a bunch of different ways that they can beat you, but just being an offense that outscores everybody? I think they have. If you look at their offensive line, their running backs, I think, are always going to leave a little bit to be desired, but I think that's by design. And now they have 3 legitimate, I would say, top 50 offensive weapons in the league if you're just looking like at across the board with Devonta, Brown, and Goddard. What do you think market share is going to be for AJ Brown, Shane? You think he can hit 25%? Forget about the volume just right now. You think 25% is a good number?
Yeah.
Okay. If we give Jalen Hurts, let's just give him around league average pass attempts. So we're talking like maybe 550-ish, 575-ish, something like that. Like probably not going to get to 600, maybe close, but let's just say like 550, 575. And that means you give AJ Brown maybe somewhere between like 135, 140 targets. I actually pulled up someone that I trust, his projections and some of his numbers. Josh Larkey did Eagles projections already. He has AJ Brown with 134 targets, which is going to be right below the 25% market share, 80 catches, 1,085 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That's 13.7 PPR points per game. So now I just compare that to last year. 13.7 PPR points per game last year would have put him, guess where? Right around wide receiver 28. And guess who was wide receiver 28 last year? AJ Brown at 13.8 points per game. So I think at this point, the value for AJ Brown, the name cachet, if there's any excitement on this, I have a hard time seeing him being a locked in wide receiver 1. I think he's a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 value. I think he's almost valued now to where like CeeDee Lamb was earlier in the offseason. So I would be more on the sell side, probably not for what the package was earlier, the 110 and Bateman. But if you're talking about Bateman and I get my shot at London, Garrett Wilson, maybe one other, maybe I get Burks, or like I would consider the 2-for-1 in that type of deal if it was the 106 or 107.
I get two of those wide receivers out of this class that I like. If it's like, Burks and Sky Moore, I'll sell AJ Brown for that. If I'm getting Garrett Wilson and I don't want to say Jahan Dotson because that's probably not going to move my motor. But if I get, say, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, I think I'd move AJ Brown for that.
So if it's so let's just say it's Bateman. If it's Bateman and then one of the top 4 receivers, that's a smash accept, wouldn't you say? Wilson, Burks, London, Jameson, Williams. I'm taking the 2 in that package. If it's down Christian Watson, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, I would at least be a little more hesitant there. Like we said before, we would take AJ. But I think it's closer than we immediately both said AJ Brown. And then you kind of crunch these numbers. I mean, last year to be...
It's got to be top 3. One of these top 3 wide receivers. It's got to be London, Burks, or Garrett Wilson. I'm not sliding down to Jameson Williams territory.
Okay. So then you basically want like a top 6 pick then probably to get one of those 3 guys in most drafts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Would you take Elijah Moore and Elijah Mitchell or AJ Brown?
AJ.
Yeah, I'm taking AJ Brown. A lot of questions on that Moore and Mitchell side.
Okay. Would you take Ayuk and the 103 or AJ Brown?
Package.
I'm taking AJ Brown. You could shove Ayuk up your butt.
See, to me, I don't see a big difference between Ayuk and Bateman, honestly. I like Bateman better, but I don't see a massive. I think that's a package by a mile.
Yeah, I mean that's more you're valuing these rookie wide receivers over AJ Brown almost straight up. Like you just need something to nudge you over the edge. Like I can see it in your head. Like you want to trade him for these guys straight up. And as soon as someone gives you something of any value on the other side, they're like, here's a shiny nickel. You're going to be like, I'm taking it.
See, I think I can trade the 103 for like DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically AJ Brown. Like he's going to put up 15 points per game. He's not going to put up 20, but I'm pretty sure he's going to put up somewhere between 13 and 15. So you put AJ Brown at 160 targets. He's not scoring more than 16 points a game. He's not good. I'm very confident that with the Jalen Hurts efficiency quotient, unless Jalen Hurts gets significantly better, then I don't see AJ Brown cracking the top 12. So if you're telling me he's going to finish wide receiver 14 and DJ Moore is going to finish wide receiver 20, like he basically has the last 3 years or close to it, give me the extra player. You know what I mean? And I think I can get a lot of wide receiver 2s for the 103. And then you're throwing Ayuk on top of that. Like I would take the 2 just because I think I'm hedging the bets on the difference between AJ Brown and DJ Moore. And that's just a bet. I mean, yeah, if the Eagles replace Jalen Hurts next year and they get a stud quarterback, then AJ Brown could literally be wide receiver 1. But that's hard to bet on at the current value. I think I can do a 2-for-1. So I'd go that way. But I get your point. You believe in AJ a little bit more.
Okay, so with the AJ Brown trade, what does that do to Devonta Smith? Does that hurt him big time, or do you think it maybe helps because there's another body on the field that has to be double covered?
No, that is the opposite of helping. I know we talk about how really good wide receivers they'll thrive with other good wide receivers, and I still think Devonta Smith, what we saw last year, we can expect a little more. Except we were kind of hoping after last year that was the launching pad for what could have come, what he could have been better. Like, can he secure a 30% market share, something like that? Can he be a target hog? And no, he cannot. Not with AJ Brown there. AJ Brown is like a quintessential bully. Like if he's on the football field, he's getting those are his targets. Yep. And he'll probably go over to Devonta and smack him if he gets too many targets. Like, no, little bro, these are mine. You know what I mean? He's just a bully like that. Also, he's best friends with Jalen Hurts. Besides the fact that he's the more talented player, AJ Brown, and he's a legitimate wide receiver 1 in this league. And even if Jalen Hurts leaves, guess what? He's still the dominant one there. Devonta Smith's going to be a very nice ancillary piece. Thankful for the trades I was not able to pull off for him in the offseason now.
Right.
I could have talked myself through them drafting any rookie wide receiver, how that wouldn't have crushed Devonta Smith future hopes and dreams of being a wide receiver one. But AJ Brown just takes those dreams, kicks them in the balls, and then actually just brutalizes their face with an elbow. They're done. He's got no shot of being a wide receiver one.
Devonta Smith or Chris Olave?
They're kind of they're in similar situations, honestly. And I think I'd almost rather prefer Olave because I think they're very similar, like profiles. But I think Olave has a better chance of kind of cracking a little bit of a higher tier on the pecking order. And maybe, I hate to say it, if Jameis Winston's good, I would probably take Jameis Winston over Jalen Hurts too. So I think I'd go with Olave.
And if Jameis
more
Winston,
more touchdown upside with Olave, you think?
if they let Jameis Winston not become the old bad Jameis Winston, but like a version of that's still allowed to throw the ball deep, Chris Olave is going to put up just some monstrous numbers, because Slant Boy ain't going to do it, so he's going to put up a ton of numbers. I think I'd lean Chris Olave, but that's one of those. What are you giving me on either side? That's the side I like.
So basically, we're saying Devonta Smith's kind of worth like a 106-ish, 106, 107. Scott,
yeah, DLF updated their ADP, and they have Jameson, Williams, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Treylon Burks all ahead of Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith fell down to wide receiver 29, which is below Rashad Bateman, which is crazy. But literally, that 2 trades, Rashad Bateman and Devonta Smith flip-flop. Now, if that's how the community is going to behave, you could tell me right now, you could probably sell Rashad Bateman for Devonta Smith plus. So if you think they're similar, then this is exactly wide receiver pivoting to a T. It's like, oh, the market right now loves Rashad Bateman because, well, dude, he's the only guy. Well, if the Ravens went out and signed Will Fuller and Jarvis Landry tomorrow, then it's like, ooh, maybe Rashad Bateman's not going to get 194 targets, So I think you can make these moves as soon as the market flips. Elijah Moore, they still have him over him. They still have Marquise Brown leapfrog Devonta Smith. He was 8 spots behind him. He's now 6 spots ahead of him. And it's just literally overnight. So the fact that they change and people are just like, oh, I'll take this guy because he's in a better situation, it could be flipped the next year. So I'm not out on Devonta Smith, but if you told me he's going to hit 20% market share, that's going to probably be around 115 targets, 120 targets. That's just not going to get there. That's going to be like wide receiver, low end wide receiver 3 numbers or high end wide receiver 3 numbers. It's going to be like wide receiver 25, which is fine. That's where he's valued, but not any higher.
He's going to be right around where he finished last year. And like I said, last year we looked at as a springboard to what was going to come. We didn't know that they were like, oh, no, we're capping his ceiling because, we're getting another guy in here that's going to actually be the target monster.
All right. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for joining. Hit that subscribe if you made it this far and we earned your business. Hit that like at the very least. Check out the channel, do some binging, and we will see you next time. Thanks.